Welcome back, kids, for the final segment of our little video series here. I've had a great time with Mrs. Claus and I talking to you kids, reading you some stories. Last week we went over a couple of the letters that you kids had and some of the questions you had. We had a great time answering those, and I've got a few more that I'm going to answer again tonight. What I'd like to do right now is go through 3 of the letters, and I'm going to read a couple of answers for you kids, see what I can come up with here. This one right here happens to be from Susie, and Susie would like to know where Santa likes to go for vacation. And that's a pretty easy one, Susie. Santa likes to go any place where it's warm. It doesn't matter where it is, but Santa loves the North Pole, and I love the cold, and I love the winter, but when it's time, and I think that it's always time to go someplace warm, so that's where you'll see me this year. This question is from Jake, and he wants to know how the reindeer fly. And I get asked that a lot, and kids want to know if my reindeer can fly when I have them here. And the answer is no. They only can fly on Christmas Eve, and it's all got to do with the magic of Christmas, and it all starts and begins and ends at the North Pole. And so the reindeer can fly at the North Pole, and then on Christmas Eve is the only time that they're able to fly here around the world. Third and the final question this year, this is from Dave. And he says, do you know all the kids' names? And well, to be honest with you, yes. I know all the kids' names at one point or another. As Santa gets a little older each year, it's a little harder to remember sometimes, but I always know the kids' names. Sometimes I have to stop and think for a minute before I come up with it. But yes, that's the one thing that Santa does is learns all the kids' names and tries his hardest to remember them. Thank you, kids, for your questions this year. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to go into my naughty and nice list, and I would like to just see how many of you kids have been added since last week. And the list is growing, so that's a very nice thing. We've got Arthur's on here, and Austin and Ashley and Anna are all 3 brand new ones from last week. And Bailey and Benjamin, Billy and Bobby are all new ones. Corinne and Corey have been added. Gabriel, George, and Grace are new names. Justin and June, Karen, Kelly, Paige, Patrick, Philip, Phyllis. I think I've got a lot of new names this year, kids, and I just want to thank you all for doing and trying your hardest to stay on Santa's good list and continue that work, and Santa will be checking, and I always check my list twice, so make sure that you do your best to stay on that list. All right, kids. Tonight, we're going to be reading the final story in the video series that we have done over the last few weeks, and it's going to be one of my special stories, and it's The Night Before Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads, and Mama in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new-fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below, when what to my wandering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes how they twinkled, his dimples how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, and then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose, and gave a nod, and up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, and to his team gave a whistle, and drew, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim ere he drove out of sight, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night." I'd like to have Mrs. Claus come in and join me now. We would just like to thank you all for being here and joining us this year. We would just like to thank all of you kids and moms and dads for joining us this year for this video series, and we're hoping that next year we'll be back and things will be as good as normal. I would like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas, and from the elves, the reindeer, and Mrs. Claus and I, we hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.